Hi all, welcome back to the final whistle then for another match preview on the channel. And tonight we look ahead to Leicester City versus West Ham, a big game at the King Power Stadium on Tuesday. Two sides who have been shipping goals as of late. And we're going to chat with Rossi from West Ham Network. He's going to give me the lowdown on the Hammers. And it's the first game for new Leicester City manager Ruud Van Nistelrooy. Let's see if Ruud can really sink his teeth into this game then and get these boys playing well and potentially nick the game away from West Ham and get them 3 points, which is much needed after that bloody dreadful performance at Brentford yesterday by the Foxes. So a big job for Ruud, starting with West Ham on Tuesday and then some other big fixtures to come as well. But guys, as always, get involved. Hit that like button for me if you enjoy this stream. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you haven't subscribed to the Final Whistle. Please subscribe. It would help me out massively. If you're watching this on playback, get involved. Let me know what you feeling is towards the game on Tuesday. How big of a game is this one? And let me know your score predictions and also team selection ahead of the West Ham game. But Rossi, LCFC 1993's in. Season starts on Tuesday. Fantastic performance by me and you, destroying that burger. Okay, Clark. Yeah. Game week 14 tomorrow. I'll be looking, if I don't get round to doing it tomorrow, I will get round to doing it at the end of the week for game week 15. Callum, how are we? Hope you are well. Good evening, Jack. Hope you're well. Looking forward for the new era, buddy. Mate, I'm looking forward to seeing what Ruud Van Nistelrooy can do with this team, to be honest. And, I've got full faith in Ruud, and let's see how things are going. How are you, bud? I'm good. Malcolm, hello. Arthur, how are you? And let's get my guest in, my good Hammers friend, Rossi B from West Ham Network. Rossi B, how are you?
Welcome back. Welcome
Thank
back
you.
to join the Premier League again. Hope you're well, man. Hope you're well. Thanks for having me on.
It's been a while since we spoke, hasn't it?
Yeah.
A lot's happened for both clubs. And talk to me firstly, Russ, before we kick off. Let everybody know what you do at West Ham Network.
So, West Ham Network, we're a West Ham version of what you do, to be honest, Jack. Obviously, what we interview, what we like to do a bit differently is we take things and don't take ourselves too seriously. So we like to have a bit of fun. And particularly, we like to have a lot of interviews with fuck off. So what we like to do is with a haircut. We like to have lots of ex-players and stuff. So, like last week, we had Slaven Bilic on, which was really cool. We've had the week before we had Yossi Benayoun on, so sort of real sort of Barclaysman from the Premier League era. So we've had about 1,100 ex-players or so. But yeah, we have quiz nights and things like that. All good fun. But then when I'm at West Ham, I'm the West Ham Stadium DJ, so I play the music. So when you guys come to London Stadium later on next year, and they come out to Unfair Bubbles, that's me that plays it. I've been doing that for 23 years, 24 years now.
But time's flown, hasn't it, Ross? But
Yes.
What's your best West Ham memory out of the 23, 24 years that you've been there?
Winning something, winning the. I know you won the Premier League, but when we won the Conference League a couple of years ago, that was the first time I've seen us win anything in my lifetime. So, anything of any substance that's not like a pre-season friendly or anything like that. So that was awesome. And I was fortunate enough during like the COVID times to be there watching all the games because we still had like all the music playing and stuff. So that was pretty cool. But no, good fun. It was good fun, and hopefully I don't have to wait another 40 years for us to win something else. But that was the best thing, best moment.
Foxy, I know that would go down with the Leicester fans. To be fair, a lot's happened since, so yeah. We'll move on from that one. Ross, talk to me about West Ham before we get on to the game. The opposition. I mean, talk to me about how things have gone for you this season under Lopetegui.
Well, they haven't really. They haven't. I mean, I think it was a right time. I think it was a year too late. When we won the Europa Conference League, I think that was the time to say, thanks for the memories, David. Off we go, Mr. Moyes. Because it solidified the club. It seems to go in sort of cycle. So like when we went down, like in the early sort of 2011. 11 season, 10-11, and then we went up with Big Sam, and Big Sam kept us relatively in a decent position in the Premier League, and then we decide that we want to change, and then obviously it was last season Slaven Bilic came in. So and Moyes has had this little period of sort of 4 years, and we've probably enjoyed the most success we've ever had in the Premier League, in all honesty. Fear 6 and qualifying for Europe 3 years in a row. We've never done that in our history, even with like Bobby Moore and that lot. Not 3 years in a row, and he won something, and we'll always have that. But I think the fans wanted to, get the ump a little bit, and it was like the football was quite boring, and it was. But that's not what Davy Moyes. He's not a flamboyant manager. No. He's a steady Eddie. He's a good player. If you want to finish 10th, 11th each season, he's the manager for you. So I was surprised. I know he was linked with the Leicester job. I thought it would have been. For me, it was about 2 or 3 months too early for a David Moyes character to come in. Because it's not that desperate at the moment. You've had a poor run. It's not that desperate in terms of the way I've seen it looking in rather than you looking out, obviously. You might have a different opinion. So for me, Ruud, I think is an absolutely phenomenal appointment. Gutted. Because I really fancied like him to come in at West Ham, because I thought it'd be exciting and something a bit different and something that, the Premier League doesn't really know about much. They've had a few games, under his belt, but so we got Lopetegui came in the summer. We spent a lot of money. We brought in 8-9 players, and it hasn't worked. And to be honest, it's been disjointed. I think he's used the most substitutes in the Premier League as well, which some would say the criticism of Moyes was he never really utilised the squad.
Yeah.
People say, okay, well, you're not using a lot of subs, so he must be utilising the squad, or he's trying to throw enough shit at the wall and hopefully something will stick. He's like yesterday, case in point, we're chasing the game, and then with 20 minutes to go, he brings on 2 CDMs. So I don't get it. If he was almost like he was conceding and going, right, we've got Leicester on Tuesday, let's take off Paqueta, let's take off Soler, let's and then just give them a bit of a rest. It hasn't worked at the moment. We had the Newcastle game last week, which took everyone by surprise, and everyone's literally was on cloud 9 thinking, this is it. Okay, we can see what he's trying to do. For the previous 10, 11 games, no one could really tell me what Lopetegui football style was like. It was nothing. Didn't see anything. We'd won a few games, but we hadn't really deserved. We beat Ipswich 4-1 at London Stadium. We didn't deserve to win 4-1. But that Newcastle game was the first game we actually won a game we deserved. We played well enough. And then yesterday, 5-2, 4-0 down after 35 minutes. Back to West Ham, back to the old, But it's an improvement on last year. I mean, we lost 6-0 to Arsenal last year. So to lose 5-2, it's an improvement. But yeah, I mean, I it's critical for, your season starts here for, the Leicester game on Tuesday. I think it's Lopetegui needs to get a win out of that. Otherwise, I think he's in real trouble. Real trouble.
Obviously, talking about the players you brought in, that's Kilman. You brought in Somerville, them types of players. You brought in the big German striker, didn't you, from Dortmund?
Yeah.
I mean, what was your expectations for West Ham this season? Obviously, 14th so far. I mean, talk to me about the expectations. I mean, where do you roughly see West Ham finishing?
Well, at the beginning of the season, didn't see us finishing 14th. I thought we'd be top. I thought with the people we were brought in, you're right. I mean, Fulkrug, obviously a bit of a late bloomer, but it hasn't worked. Maximin Kilman, we brought in Jean-Claire Todibo, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Carlos Soler. We brought some good players in, really good players. And I thought, this is okay. We're building a squad, which is something we've never really had for a long time. And I was thinking we should be pushing for Europe, in all honesty. Last year was a bit of a blip. And, if 1 to 11, if you put a 1 to 11, it's good players. You got to think like Kudus, Bowen, Antonio, Paqueta, some really, 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 really good players. And I thought with those and the likes of Max Kilman, Todibo, sorting out that defence, which needed a bit of and the squad needed a bit of surgery. There was a lot of old players. We sent out a load on loan. JW Prowse went out on loan. Zuma again. They have all gone out on loan. We needed that sort of bit of squad surgery. I thought, if we're 8th. I thought that'd be a half decent season, all things considering. I'd bite anyone's hand off to take that now, to be honest.
Talk to me about Leicester. I mean, we could have some similarities, Russ, this season with defence and that, and shipping goals like it's no one's business. The pair of us this season. I mean, Leicester have shipped 27 goals. Yeah. In the Premier League. West Ham have conceded fewer goals, which is by 3, which is 24. So there's quite a bit of similarities there. We both like to concede goals, which is we could shake our hands on. But what have you made on Leicester? Obviously, it didn't work under Steve Cooper, did it? To be fair,
no. And to be honest, there was I think there was. Obviously, we've known each other for a while, and obviously the season you went down, it was like, it was just a bit sort of. It's like, the way I saw it was a bit like, a mechanic without his toolbox. It's like you couldn't really do what you do. A lot of players went, and it was just a lot of upheaval. I think, to be honest, it's always going to be tricky. A side coming up from the Championship, regardless of whether you've got a Premier League, Championship, Premier League trophy to your name, it's going to be tricky. And I think you brought some good players in. But I mean, it's two ways of looking at it. I mean, you can go. I remember Nottingham Forest last year bringing in 23 players, if it was. Yeah. You can go that way, or you can go the frugal way. And I thought it was a bit of a halfway house in terms of what Leicester's transfer was doing, really. And Steve Cooper's always considered to be a good coach, but it just hasn't. And I wouldn't even say it's bad. I mean, I've been funny. It's like what the expectations of the club this year, first it'd be to stay up, surely. And it's not you're in your relegation spot. You know what I mean? It's I think you thought, you probably are in the relegation fight, in all honesty, but I think there's at least 3 worse teams than you in the Premier League. Maybe, but I think maybe it was, I don't know, maybe the owners wanted Ruud and very much saw it the opportunity to pull the trigger and get it sorted.
I think, being honest about Cooper, he's not a Premier League manager, is he? Let's be fair. He's Championship at best. He's a nice guy, but his football's just not that. With Leicester, he struggled to build that relationship with the fans, the club, the players. He struggled to get his philosophy, his identity, a style of football, and we just did it. We'd have more shots against us than we'd have against oppositions. I know people wouldn't say we get battered regarding scorelines, but then you look at the games where we won this season against Bournemouth and Southampton, and
but that's who you need. That's who you need.
The cracks for him, to be fair.
Exactly, but that's who you need to be beating.
Yeah,
you need to be beating. So you drew away to Ipswich. You got thinking that in terms of your league. That's why I look at the Premier League. There's it's about 3 or 4 different leagues, and at the moment, your league is probably about 14th to bottom.
It's a mini league, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a mini league, and as long as you're beating this, I mean, I was looking at the fixtures because, it's a bit for me. It's a bit strange why the plug was pulled now rather than the international break, because you think,
I was surprised by the time and how the sacked in
yeah,
the
I can
break.
understand why though, because he then comes back and you've got Chelsea who are flying and anything can happen. And a new manager plays Chelsea, you're going to probably lose. In all honesty, I mean the way Chelsea, I mean they beat us quite comfortably at London Stadium. You got Brentford away, which is never an easy place to go to, and then arguably you've probably got slightly easier games in terms of you got us, you got 3 or 4 home games in Christmas, lots of quick games to build momentum. So maybe there's, I'd like to think there was justification. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But I mean, that Wolves game on the 22nd is a massive game for you, I think, particularly because again, they're in that league, they're in that mini league, and we are at the moment. We're in that mini league as well.
Yep. Ross said, I reckon Top had a good think about it before he made the decision. I mean, Van Nistelrooy left Man United, didn't he, a few weeks back? Some would probably say Leicester tapped him up at that point. They was probably ready to pull the trigger, and if Ruud would really take the job, then they'd have thought, you know what, we know what we've got to do. Obviously, with the Cooper appointment and the players doing what they did in Copenhagen, which the owner gave them a bollocking for, it just wasn't the best timing, was it, with the Enzo miss you bloody sign coming out and with the sign with Cooper's sacking into him, where it made it worse than what it was. Maybe a bit more professionalism should have gone into it at the time, but
what is it about Leicester City going on trips abroad? It's not just, it's been a few times now. Don't forget the Thailand incidents. But yeah, I think the timing was strange. But the only way I agree, the reason why probably the timing happened was because he became available. Maybe, once he's left, he's a free agent. It happens all the time. Managers, managers going to listen. So maybe they, through an intermediary, or they approached Ruud and said, if the job's available, and maybe he said, yeah, all right, fuck it, we'll do it. I wouldn't think Cooper's like compensation and stuff would be a lot anyway.
I think you're on 3 million a year.
Yeah, but sometimes they pay him, don't they? They carry on paying rather than giving the big lump sum. They pay him
like Potter at Chelsea. I mean, it was the right decision to sack him. I don't think we'd have gone anywhere if we kept him. I think, we were struggling. We didn't know what to do on the pitch, and that it's never worked for him. I know the guy speaks like he's bloody in a press conference with how teams would set up like prime Barcelona and that the way he'd speak, but he'd never put it into plan like that, But yeah, right sacking. Have we got the right manager? I think we have. I think he brings that excitement, Ruud Van Nistelrooy. You hear the Ruud Van Nistelrooy name in football and you think, yeah, what a player. But exactly. He did well at PSV. 2 trophies there, done really good there. And he did the interim thing at Man United where he got a tune out of them players who weren't doing great at the time, but then obviously beat us twice. But I think he brings that real elegance about him, Ruud. I think he brings that feel-good factor in. Obviously, the style of football, the players was used to the Enzo style, not bloody Steve Cooper's, and we struggled to get on board with that as fans and bloody the players themselves. But I think Ruud will bring that type of football back, and I think that's the type of manager we wanted from the off.
Yeah, I mean, it's a case of, it's not mean to sound like condescending at all, but it's a case of enjoying the Premier League, and I think for me, it's like I was talking to someone yesterday about it. They were saying, "Oh, it sounds, London Stadium's sounding a bit like a morgue," and I said, "Well, primarily football's about entertainment, and if you're not, and same as Leicester and Villa and everyone, at home game, the crowd will always give it at the beginning, and then if the team then play well, it's a 2-way street. The crowd will keep going." And he said, I don't sort of sign up to that. And I said, well, if you was at a comedy gig and the guy's not funny, you're not going to laugh because you bought a ticket. You laugh because he's got to be funny. And he was like, actually, that's a good point. And that's the same here. If they, I mean, the first game of the season, we lost 3-1 to Man City at London Stadium, and people left the ground like we'd won the game because it was an entertaining game. We had a go. We tried. We didn't just roll over and let them just have their wicked way with us. We had to go with them. And that's the same with you. I mean, Tuesday, it might be a bit too far for him to get the side today and then give 2 days training and then play. That's a lot to do. And then obviously you got Brighton the weekend as well, which maybe so you've got a couple of home games now. And the same with us. We've got such a quick turnaround from Saturday to Tuesday that it's you can't really coach or teach anything new in 2 training sessions really. But as you said, it's about the momentum, and I think it's always the way when a manager. We always, I think we've played so many games over the last sort of 2-3 years where it's the new manager. We got the new manager, so you got the new manager bounce, and hopefully, well, after Tuesday, that bounce will happen for you guys.
Well, I'm hoping it happens on Tuesday.
I know you do.
Talk to me about Lopetegui. If he is to get sacked. Who is the ideal replacement for you as a West Ham fan? Is it Graham Potter?
Well, I don't know. The thing is, it's really interesting because again, no, I think that ship sailed now. That's the thing. Again, I think Moyes is great. If we were in, if it was, I don't know, Crystal Palace's position in 4 months' time, you want someone to come in who's going to organise everything, get people moving and sorted. He was actually linked. He was one of the links before. Obviously, you got him, but we were linked to everyone at the moment. It was like I don't know whether it was we get people leak information. I think there's certain people leak information to just see the fan reaction to it, and if people go, oh, then they might pursue it, but it didn't. Now Lopetegui, I mean, because we thought he might get the old sack during the international break, because that's what Ten Hag did, when Amorim came in, but then Amorim was just too busy just walking. He had nothing to do because everyone was on international duty, so he was just walking around like Manchester in a hoodie, wasn't he? Doing his Christmas shopping. But I was a little bit surprised, and then it was okay. Well, if he doesn't get a result in the Newcastle game or the Arsenal game, then he was going to get sacked because then a new manager came in and slightly more favourable fixtures were going into. We play Wolves, we play Brighton, very similar to you actually. We play Brighton, and then we play Southampton, I think, as well. So, and maybe Bournemouth as well in that sort. So we got a more favourable run than Man City, Newcastle, or Arsenal, whoever we played so far. Now, I wasn't surprised that he stayed, and then obviously the Arsenal game, and I'm surprised wasn't going to be sacked because it was too. I think in terms of who comes in, Edin Terzic from Borussia Dortmund, he was one who's heavily been linked. Former West, he was with Slav as his number 2 when he was at West Ham. Did a good job at Borussia Dortmund. Again, the trouble is he's quite pragmatic, doesn't play a very exciting style of football. And in fact, very similar to David Moyes, he's probably stayed at Dortmund longer because they got to the Champions League final. If they didn't have that, he would have probably gone. Same as David Moyes. He probably stayed about a season too long because of the Europa Conference League victory. Edin Terzic, I'd love us to go out and get some Areola from Bournemouth, or Thomas Frank. I'd love someone like him, but I just don't. But the board won't basically buy out contracts. It's not what they do.
Well, that's the problem with West Ham, isn't it? They gave David Moyes what was it, a new contract, I think, and then and after a few games, they were like, "Nah, rip the contract up.
Yeah,
see you later." I mean, even though he saved on 2 occasions when he came in,
exactly. I think there was some truth in that, but I think it wasn't. They'd always told him that there was a contract available. The trouble was that contract was a different type of contract. So for the best part, for the last 3 years, David Moyes was the West Ham manager.
Yeah,
and the new contract would have been a West Ham head coach. David had by what we're led to be believed, had the final veto on all transfer rumours, all transfers into the club. When you've got a director of football in now, which is what we've had for the last 18 months now, that undermines his position. Yeah. So the people he wanted to bring in were like Somerville, were like, everyone basically we brought in the summer were the guys that he offered to David Moyes, and Moyes turned them down. So actually it was David Moyes is probably going to be our last ever manager. And now we're set up at this sort of head coach with a director of football sort of type setup. So he was offered I definitely 100% sure he was offered a contract, but that contract was not the contract he wanted. And I think that's what it was. That's what got taken away and gave, no, you're going to be head coach if you want to stay. But there's so many. I mean, Graham Potter again. Interesting.
Yeah.
But the only thing with Graham Potter that worries me slightly is he's been out of work for like 18 months. No one's picked him up. He didn't go to Leicester. He didn't go to and that's a little bit weird.
Do you kind of think the feel with Potter is that he thinks he's a big name manager now that he's managed Chelsea? Do you think because he made that step up from Brighton to Chelsea, he kind of thinks I can go and get another big club?
I don't know. I mean, West Ham. I remember when he was linked with the West Ham job before. Maybe one of the things about Potter was the board basically said it wasn't Graham Potter that was the success at Brighton. It was the setup. It was the supercomputer and stuff like that. And in fact, he's left and they did better under De Zerbi. I wouldn't mind someone like De Zerbi, or Marco Silva, or someone who's a bit more brave. I think we've gone for steady Eddies, which is fair enough. And I think the club want to stay in the Premier League, so they don't risk too much. But we as fans want to see a bit of risk, don't we? We want to see a bit of entertainment, and I totally understand that. But also, I totally understand the business side of football as well. That's why I think the Ruud's a really exciting prospect, because that is a real, right, let's fucking go for it. You know what I mean?
Every manager brings the risk, though, don't they, Russ, when you appoint them, no matter who it is, or whatever team they go to. It's always a risk to hire these people. But, it makes a good manager if he can get the best out of this Leicester team and keep them up this season. Other teams will obviously think, what, if Ruud Van Nistelrooy can do it with Leicester, maybe that's the type of manager we need in them positions. But talk to me about Leicester West Ham. Big game on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Both sides will look for that win, won't they? Ruud Van Nistelrooy's first game in charge of Leicester City. He'll look to get off to a good start, but this one is going to be a very interesting game for me, to be fair, and we've got to really turn it around after that bloody shit show at Brentford yesterday.
Yeah, but Brentford were fucking good.
Yeah.
And actually, Arsenal were brilliant yesterday. And I think sometimes we see stuff and we see the scoreline and we're thinking, and we didn't play well. No. Arsenal played really well. They were on it. From the first second, they were on it. And I think any side would have been probably 2 or 3 down rather than 4. But, and don't forget, 2 of them are penalties. And one was a really soft penalty. And, Danny Ings, we could have ended, it was a draw. The second half was a draw. It was 0-0. So, anything's possible. But, it's a massive game because, we go into the festive period. So many games, literally. This gives you, Saturday to Tuesday. It gives us a bit of a precursor to how we're going to have to deal with the sort of barrage of games that are happening in December. Now, what's quite interesting and not great for you is Mohamed Kudus will be back and available for the first time in 5 games. So obviously he got sent off and then he got another 2 games because it was really bad. And so he's back, and Paqueta didn't get the yellow card I thought he was going to get. So Paqueta will be available to play. But actually, funny enough, so on Tuesday is the day of his hearing in Brazil for the match fixing. But he's doing it over video. So, because there was a chance of him he may have missed the game to be in Brazil in person, but he's doing it on video in the morning, apparently. So, if he had a good time, if it was he'll be excited because he's had the weight of the world on his shoulders since forever. Sorry, my alarm keeps going off for some reason. So that's really. That's really interesting. But obviously, having just been thumped 5-2 by Arsenal, it's not the best time. But Kudus could really, because he's literally that's his game plan. Lopetegui's game plan is give it to Mohamed Kudus and just see what he can do. And that is literally it, and then Bowen might jump in as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing Kudus. But the thing is, because of the quick turnaround, there's no way Mikel Antonio is going to be on for more than 60 minutes on Tuesday because he'll just be knackered.
Yeah, I think this one's a game where, we've got to go and win it, to be fair. It's one of the 4 key fixtures for Leicester. I mean, like you said, we've got Brighton on Sunday, Newcastle next Saturday, then we've got Wolverhampton Wanderers. Games where Ruud will really look to get points out of, to be honest, and he'll expect a real performance, especially at home against West Ham. And it's always an interesting game when we play you lot. I mean, something always seems to happen when it comes to relegation last time. And obviously this time it's down to the relegation battle, if that's what you want to call it, in the mini league, where both teams are going to be eager for 3 points. But Ant says 2 shit teams on Tuesday. I mean,
it is. It's so frustrating because, as I said, you look at our team, and our team is, if we, at the moment, I mean, Fabianski's taken over from Mario, but Fabianski, Emerson, Kilman, Todibo, Wan-Bissaka, Sago, Alvarez, Paqueta, Souček, Kudus, Antonio, or maybe Somerville, Kudus, Bowen, or whatever. That's a fucking good side, but it plays. It reminds me of like a pub team. When people turn up on a Sunday and you got your mate Dave from the Rose and Crown, he can play up. He and him, and it's like they're individuals, and it's like the way we've been playing recently. It's like people like Thomas Souček, until recently, Thomas Souček, Soufal, people like that. As soon as the game kicks off, they just switch into Moyes mode, like they back to factory settings and just play like they've been playing with David Moyes. And you can tell there's a confliction. People like Mats Kilman, who've played under Lopetegui before, and know what he's trying to do. They sort of, it's almost like these opposites, and they're not just clicking. And then obviously Newcastle, it clicks, but yesterday back to type. So, yeah.
Yeah, big response needed by Leicester on Tuesday. We've leaked so many goals defensively, Russ, and I think that's where West Ham's going to look to hurt us, isn't it? To be fair,
we always look like we've got a goal in us. So I think it's probably probably the Everton 0-0 at London Stadium was really disappointing.
We could say that about us on Tuesday. Yeah. Now we've got goals in us and not bloody against us.
So we've always looked, and we've Kudus there with Bowen. I mean, give Bowen half a chance, and
it's a threat.
He's a threat, and yes,
with our fullbacks, it's kind of you kind of get worried.
Well, we had to address the right back position, and bringing Aaron Wan-Bissaka in, he's just been a revelation, and he scored in his last 2 games, and he ain't scored for years. But he's really, he really does play really forward, and Emerson is always a very forward. So actually, both our goals came from our fullbacks yesterday. Emerson for an amazing free kick, and I've never seen him take free kicks properly. And he always got another one yesterday as well. The fullbacks really, I mean, Vladimir Soufal, if you want him, he's going to be out of contract for the summer. I think he's going to be available pretty cheap.
You tried to sell us some players, Ross.
Well, he's gone in the summer, so you might get an absolute bargain for him, to be honest. I love Vlad; he's a lovely guy, but Aaron Wan-Bissaka's head and shoulders above him.
Yep. Ruud Van Nistelrooy's football's going to be interesting as well. If he can get us playing like PSV, I think it's something the players can get involved in and get on board with. Because at the minute you've got a squad who looks depleted, where they need that real style of football they can get on board with, a manager that can really get on board with as well regarding what he wants. He's obviously going to demand that respect from them from the offensive team. He's not going to go and mess about with them.
And if the worst comes to worst, he can come on, put him on the bench.
We can always put him up front, prime.
That's what I mean.
Prime Vardy.
And Vardy, yeah, exactly. That's like your dream team from about Football Manager about 10
Seen as
years
a
ago.
free agent next year. I mean, Ross, I don't think John Cena as a
John
wrestler
Cena.
would
Wow.
do well in football.
Well, yeah. No, we had a for the Newcastle game. We had Ross from Cultaholic, who's a big he's obviously a Newcastle fan, and obviously there's a big wrestling connections with West Ham. With Triple H is and we always I play because I always play the game as the teams come out, for the second half, as a little nod to him. But it's going to be fascinating, and I think it's going to be really. But I think for a new man, it seems just by looking at the short bit I've watched from you guys, you just want them to enjoy their football again, and a new fresh approach, someone you respect, on the front foot. I mean, look at Amarin at Man United. The first game, he's excited. You can see the players are looking forward to playing, and that's what you want. And then hopefully,
that's for Everton.
Yeah, and the results can happen, and as long as they happen after Tuesday, I don't care. But but I think I'm very jealous. Because I want that bounce. I want that. The West Ham fan base want that bounce, and you've got it. So I'm very jealous.
Yeah, I think it was much needed for us, to be fair. I was bloody hoping he'd be in charge yesterday at Brentford. It might have been a different type of game, but first game Tuesday is a big game for him to really get his teeth into and see what he's got to work with and what he can do at Leicester and turn this ship around. Let's have a look at last time out. 2-1. I mean, we were relegated at full time. Harvey Barnes got another goal against you. Always loved a goal against West Ham, Harvey Barnes. I think Fast scored as well for Leicester, I believe.
Yeah,
West Ham was it 4-0?
Could have been. I think so. I'm going to go and check. But yeah, I think it was 4-0. Yeah, I mean...
we ain't got the players like we did back then. So...
No. Well, I think probably most of our team are probably... where is it? Let me get the 2-1. Yeah, 2-1 it was. Yeah, May.
I mean, the chant from you lot was say hello to Millwall. We did.
Yeah, you did. Thank you.
Piss off back to the Premier League. We don't want to know your West Ham can go back into
Yeah, no, it was 4-0, bless him. Another one who left, so he went back to Real Betis. That was in the January transfer last year. It's. I mean, it was a strange one. It was. I don't think you could read much into that. To be honest,
No.
It was like the end of the season.
We're looking forward to a European final.
Yeah, and the league form had basically gone. The league form had gone as soon as we qualified for the final. Actually, probably from the semis onwards, we'd just given up from the league. I think it was all that the Europa Conference League or bust, really. And if we hadn't won, then David Moyes wouldn't be manager that following season. I 100% sure that would have been the case.
Yep. Let's have a look at the last 5. Leicester's won 2. You've won 1. Drawn 2. What's been your most memorable game at the KP? Obviously, from a Leicester fan, I mean, it's probably got to be the one where Rajoa scores with seconds to go in the game to get us a point. Or the one where we battered you on that. Was it by 4? Was it 4-1, was it?
4-1 away,
yeah.
There's a couple. There was one where Mark Noble just became prime Mark Noble.
From a free kick he scored from.
It was a few, wasn't it? He did a really good goal. It was like it was outside the box. And I think we won 2. We needed that win. We were like 2-0, I think it was. That was a really good game. I remember it was, and I remember one of my distant memories would have been at the was it a KP? Or was it a Filbert?
That game we lost, Jack. That's the game Paqueta match fixed to get a yellow card on purpose. I mean,
yeah, but I'm thinking whether it was, where was it? I'm trying to remember. It was It would have been because it was Christmas. I remember it was Christmas. I think it was. Anyway, I remember that because I remember going to the game because I was at Loughborough University and we lost 1-0. We lost, and I'm pretty sure we had the debut of Titi Kamara. So yeah, we lost 1-0. We lost 2-1. That was it, 2-1. Yeah, Rigobert Son and Titi Kamara had the starting, and I think you finished third. You was third at that point. You were flying. So yeah, it's always a great game. There's always goals in it. I can't remember the last time we had a 0-0. Actually, I'm just looking now. I don't think we have.
2-2 in 2022.
Yeah, the last ever 0. The last ever 0-0 was in 2004 in the Championship.
Yeah.
0-0. Wow.
Was that when you had Rio Ferdinand?
No. That was we'd have been.
That 2000.
That was 2004. So we'd been relegated the season before. That was like Ria Coker and Marlon Harewood, all those types of things.
Canute scored a few. I mean, Freddie Canute is Patson Daka's Asian, would you believe?
I'm more than aware of that.
I'm sure he'll be looking at a move. Maybe Patson Daka at West Ham in January, Russ.
Well, we need a striker. We need a striker, that's for sure. Yeah, it was. It's something we
got sent off. Yeah, in his debut 0-0.
0-0. Fire. Yeah, that was in the Championship. That was, but no. Yeah, it's. Yeah, we desperately need a striker anyway. So I'm thinking that's pretty much going to be the case in January with Nicholas Fulkrug. Obviously he's out. He got injured in international duty back in October, and it was only going to be out for a couple of weeks. It's one of those really annoying injuries that you don't know when they're going to be back. It's like a tendon injury. There was talk of him maybe being on the bench for Tuesday, but I don't think so. In all honesty, which is real gutting because we need that sort of backup to Antonio because he won't work.
Favourite of a West Ham player?
Favourite player would have been Di Canio. I think Paolo Di Canio. Dimitri Payet, most people say, but for me, Di Canio had that sort of the personality as well as the skill. Where Payet was the most skillful player I've ever seen at West Ham, but Di Canio was like he had the way I always see West Ham players, they're either a Trevor Brooking type player, so silky, or they're a Julian Dix type player. And occasionally you get ones in the middle who are nutters and really skillful, and Di Canio was that, so sort of the best of both worlds.
Kucheski weren't bad for you either, were he? Considering he scored that cross.
Yeah, Conch is good. Yeah, Conch is. Yeah, he's a friend of the channel. We've got plenty of friends of the channel. Yeah, I mean we've had some really good players. Obviously we've been fortunate enough to have a load of them on the channel. Over as I said, over 100 from Brian Deere, who won the European Conference, European Cup Winners' Cup in 1965, all the way to, I don't know. I don't even know the latest player we had. It would probably been Pedro Obiang, and then just loads of people in the middle. And they've all been brilliant. I've loved them all. We've had some great players over the years.
Tony Cottee.
Yeah, Leicester specific. Tony TC. Obviously, great time at both clubs. I mean, we've had some really good players who have played for both sides. Andy Impey. We have plenty. Andy Impey, Les Ferdinand, all the greats. Matthew Upson, David Connolly. No, I like David Connolly. He was a good. He cut seasons for you guys. He had a season for us. I liked him. Sean Newton, Matt Upson had one season at Leicester. David Martin,
yeah, son of the Liverpool goalkeeper.
And Alvy Martin's son. Clive Clark. I love Clive. He's lovely. Brian Dean. Oh, he was good interview.
Brian Dean.
And Jesse Lingard.
We had Jesse Lingard at such a young age. We didn't see the potential of him. But then when he got older, he started to come back against us and bloody score.
Sean Newton. John Pan. Oh, I love John Pansel.
John Pansel.
Chrissy Powell. Nobby Solano.
I love Chris
Oh.
Powell at Leicester. He's a proper geezer, isn't he?
Yeah, we went through a spate. We sort of did it every so often. We'd go through a spate of getting sort of guys nearing the end of their retirement. So I remember one year we had like Stuart Pearce, and then the following years we had Nigel Winterburn, and then we had Chrissy Powell, and and one for the purists, David Speedy. He played in the early 90s for us, and I think he went to you after us. Yeah, we've had some good players, more strikers than anything else. Really looking at, but. Yeah, not bad.
Ross, before we go on score prediction, the starting 11. Any injuries? Any players that have been missing? I mean, how do you see it lining up? Do you think there'll be many changes from the Arsenal game?
Yeah. I think there will be. I think you've got, as I said, Nicholas Folk, who's the only one who we know is out for sure.
Yep.
Caduce will be back into the side. We're back in the squad. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. Obviously, we had the same starting 11 as we started against Newcastle at the Arsenal game yesterday. And that was with Edson Alvarez back in the squad. He was on the bench. So I wouldn't be surprised seeing Alvarez back in. And Caduce will be interesting to see what they do with him, because Somerville's been playing really well. And to be honest, Somerville is... yeah, exactly. And then Somerville is someone who the fans really want to see, because they seem to be putting Caduce on the left wing, and he's just useless. He's not useless there at all, but he's wasted. He's better more centrally. So I would love to see them maybe give Antonio not start and put Bowen up top and Caduce on the right-hand side, or Caduce up top and Bowen on the right-hand side. It's always like a false nine. Wouldn't mind trying that. They won't do that because he won't. So I think it'll be... Fabianski's last couple of games has got the nod for number 1 shirt. I think he did nothing really wrong yesterday, apart from punch Gabriel in the face, but he didn't really punch him. So for me, he's in goal. Back 4, Emerson, Kilman, Todabo, and Wan-Bissaka, and then probably a double pivot, although we hate it, of Alvarez, I think, comes back into the side, and Souček, and then Somerville.
Reece, no.
Somerville, Paqueta.
I think we'll actually get this side going now, innit? We'll see. Go on, carry on.
Somerville, Paqueta, Bowen. And I'm going to put Caduce up front. He's not going to go with Caduce up front, but that's what I'm going to go with. So it should, although some people don't want Caduce to start because they want him to fight for his place in the squad, but he's the best player we've got. So you're not going to not start him. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they incorporate him. And I just hope they keep Somerville. They don't drop him, because I think he's a really good player. But they tend to sort of favour Caduce on that left side, which I don't understand at all. That's how we
Leicester, I mean, Jesus, it's the defence where I think we're going to have to bloody change it quite quickly. The fans don't trust Justin. They don't trust Fass. I mean, they probably don't even trust the defence at all, to be fair. No, I think Hermanson will start. I tell you what, I'd like to see Hamza Chowdhury right back, to be fair, instead of Justin. Maybe give Justin a miss for this game, potentially put him on the bench. Do we go with Cody and Vestergaard, or Vestergaard and Fass? I mean, Fass has had a fair share of bad games this season. So I tell you what, I'm going to go Connor Cody in there and Vestergaard, but we'll probably go with Fass anyway. VK back in there, Victor Christiansen, Harry Winks will be back in the team. So I think maybe we'll go with Ndidi, El Canous, Buonanotte, and Mavididi. And I tell you what, I'm going to go Jamie Vardy to start.
Always fucking scores against us. It's certain players. Him, Callum Wilson. Thankfully, Glenn Murray doesn't no longer played for us.
I don't know with Cody, mate. Is his Premier League days behind him? I don't know. He's a leader, but
I'm not being funny, but I think you need one. I think we desperately miss Craig Dawson. We desperately miss him. Where we thought that Dawson played well because of the players around him, no, I think Dawson actually improved the players around him, and I think these types of, every manager needs that sort of conduit between the team and the management, and maybe Connor could be that. Connor Cody could be that person, in terms of. I mean, he was doing he does the press conference and whatever for the post match on Match of the Day and stuff, and you need that sort of elder statesman there, I think, and I think Ruud would probably prefer him as that. So I won't be surprised if I don't know. We just don't know what he's going to do you? Really, to be honest, no idea what he's going to do.
Ross asks if Russ remembers that West Ham fan scoring in a friendly under Harry Redknapp.
Yep. So the story, his name was Steve Davis, not the snooker player, but so the story goes that he was, I think he was playing Oxford United in a pre-season friendly, and Lee Chapman was playing up front, and this supporter was saying, "Look, Lee Chapman's shit. I'm much better than him." And then Harry went, "Okay." So they went and got him some boots. He came on at half time and scored. That's the story.
There we go. But no, I definitely think he'll go with bloody Wout Fass. To be fair, Fass is good when he's good, but when he's got more mistakes than him than I think good games. To be fair, no offense, but I think Justin and Fass. I think Ruud Van Nistelrooy is going to have to sort the pair of them out with defensively to be fair on that right-hand side, because we can see too many goals from that far side, and I think that's where West Ham will aim to punish us. So we've got to stay switched on. But score prediction, Ross, where do you go with this one?
There'll be a manager bounce. I think it'll be a draw. I think it'll be. It won't be 0-0 draw. I think it'll be like a Desmond or 1-1 or something like that. Just because there's always that bloody manager bounce.
There's a fair point. Armchair jockey has been on more presenting than played for us. Score prediction for me. I mean, I think Ruud will get the manager bounce. My heart says 2-1, but my head says a 2-2 draw. But it's one that we have to go and win it. It's a tough game. Ross is going to say 3-0. I'm optimistic, but then again, it is Leicester. You might seem surprised by that, Russ, considering I don't think you'd think West Ham would concede 3 goals, but you never know in football.
We conceded 5. We conceded 5 yesterday, so anything's possible.
But no, Russ, thanks for coming on, mate, for the chat.
Pleasure.
Really appreciate it. Let everybody know before I let you go where they can find you, pal.
Oh, West Ham Network on YouTube or TikTok, Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, all the good stuff. We should have, as I said, every couple of weeks we tend to get a really good ex-player on. We've got a good one lined up for next week, hopefully just confirming the dates. So, but I never say who it is until we've done the interview, just in case.
Thanks for coming on, Ross. Appreciate it, mate. I'll catch you soon.
Guys.
All the best after Tuesday.
Wish you all the best after Tuesday, mate.
See you later. That was Russie B, my mate from West Ham. Appreciate him coming on. He's always a good chat, is Russ. Ruud Van Nistelrooy took his first training session today, and let's hope he's tried some new things with the players and really getting them on board with his ideas. But no, fashion, really appreciate it as always. If you've enjoyed this stream, hit that like button for me. I'd really appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't already to the Final Whistle. It would help me grow. But no, thanks for watching. Take care. Also, go check out the match day vlog from Brentford yesterday. Go and check that out as well. And West Ham next for Leicester. Fingers crossed we can pull a result out of the bag on Tuesday, a positive one. And may the Ruud Van Nistelrooy revolution begin at Leicester City. There'll be a match day vlog out of the game as well on Wednesday after the game on Tuesday. But thanks for watching. Take care. Catch you soon. Up the Ruud Van Nistelrooy's Foxes. Come on. Hi all. Thank you for watching the Final Whistle. If you enjoy all our content, please remember to smash a like, share, and subscribe to the channel.